All right, the economy now.
Sure.
Essex County is very expensive to live in,
Sure.
and we talk about affordability. So
Yeah.
many people cannot afford to live in this district now.
Yeah.
I mean, particularly in Montclair
Yeah.
area. My kids want a house; they cannot afford it.
Right.
Taxes are through the roof.
Yeah.
What could you possibly do as a congressman representing this district to lower that burden for so many people in the state?
So I think there's lots of things we can do at the federal level, but I think what it does is it requires a person who understands the interaction of both county, municipal, state, and federal, right? We need someone who understands the whole playing field in order to be able to do something about that issue. What do I mean when I say that? Let's start with the issue of healthcare. Right? Right now, that is the number one driver of cost for people, right? It is too expensive. We have an administration that has cut key pieces of the Affordable Care Act. That needs to be restored right away. We need to find right away. We need to find pathways to some form of single payer program. We need Medicare for all. We need to do everything we can at the federal level to lower the cost of healthcare, because that is the number one driver right now of costs, both whether you're an individual, whether you're a young person trying to find a job, right? Whether you are a county government trying to cover healthcare for your employees so they have the ability to take home a little bit more money, right? They can't do it anymore. More and more of their own paychecks are going to cover their costs. Whether you're a public or private sector employee, the cost of healthcare is too great, and we need to do something about it, first and foremost. Secondly, the amount of money that we get from the federal government right now in this district is out of whack.
Yeah.
We send way too much money to Washington right now. We need to be able to get a higher return on that dollar. We also need to make sure that the investments that the federal government has committed to, like investments in infrastructure and transportation, are maintained. Right now, as we sit here today, the Gateway Tunnel project, which is a key economic driver for this region, a $12 billion investment, 200,000 plus jobs, has been put on hold, right, by President Trump during the government shutdown and supported by MAGA Republicans. We cannot allow that to happen. Well, here's the good news. We potentially are on track to take back the House of Representatives as Democrats. And if we do, we can reassert our control and power over the power of the purse, which is the last time I checked. The Constitution gave that power to the United States Congress, and we need people who are going to be in Washington fighting to do that every single day. The third part of that answer, I think, is also tied up in what type of economy we are going to have. This district that we live in is a leader right now in healthcare, in pharmaceuticals, in our university system. We have 5 or 6 colleges that make up a good portion of this district. But we also have to have conversations around what is this economy actually going to look like for your own children and for mine, right? We have AI, which is changing the complete landscape, right, on service-oriented businesses. I run a service-oriented small business, right? That's what I do full time. I have no idea and it's not why I'm trying to seek another job, but I have no idea what this economy may look like in 5 or 6 years for even the things that I am doing today. We need a person in this position who's on the forefront of those conversations, is having those conversations and pushing policies that are going to empower the economic development in a way that allows people who still want to be in this region, people like me who are very lucky to be able to be in the place that they were born and raised in, to be affordable in a way to do it. So there's a lot we can do in that space, but that just gives you a little sense and flavor of what I'd be excited to work on if I had the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Gateway Project, which has become a political football over the years. Depending on what administration we're dealing with, and Trump has essentially spiked that football, and it's just lying fallow right now. You mentioned that once Democrats are able to gain the majority in Congress, things might change. But are you saying that we have to wait a whole year before we can?
No, I think that's a great question. No, I'm not saying. I mean, it's interesting, and I'll frame this question in the context of this seat, right? We have a primary Thursday, February 5th, and then we have a general election April 16th. And unfortunately, right now, I don't know what the norms are going to be 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, but one of the reasons I'm running is to do everything I can to make sure that we have a free and fair election, in November of 2026, which is when the midterm elections would be. We can have a person in this seat right now fighting that fight by April of this year, right? So we have a crisis and a media crisis. So we need a person who has that level of knowledge to bring that fight to Congress right now. Secondly, on the Gateway Tunnel project, just to come back to that, I worked for the late Senator Frank Lautenberg when Governor Christie canceled the first version of this project. I've been through these fights before. I led the fight then. It's probably the biggest public policy blunder in a generation that the governor made. That tunnel project would have been done right now if it was not then stopped. It was a terrible, terrible decision. I was part of the fight pushing back then, saying it was the wrong thing to do. We have to get it done, building the coalition to fight back. Unfortunately, we came up short. We came up short, so we had to start over. But I understand these battles have been in them and would be excited to get down to Washington to continue to fight on them.